What's up? My name is Julian Williams, and I take Expedite. Some days I walk into the gym, and I don't necessarily feel like working. Take a scoop or two of this, be ready to go. It's the best stuff I've ever had. Expedite.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Marcos Villegas here in Los Angeles, being joined with Tom Loeffler, who is here with Gennady Golovkin after midst of speculation that you guys had maybe potentially parted ways.
Sources say that Triple G is fighting June 8th.
He is fighting June 8th in MSG.
On Dazn at MSG. He's coming back to the Garden, the most famous arena in the world, the Mecca of boxing. This is where we built his career. He lives in LA. He has a lot of fans in LA. It's been over 2 years since he fought in New York when he beat Danny Jacobs. So, we're excited to bring him back there. Undefeated Steve Rolls. This is the first fight of the big Dazn deal that he signed. And, I think we'll see some fireworks June 8th. And if he's successful, this is one of those dangerous fights where he's fighting a hungry, undefeated guy from Canada that Emmanuel Stewart was very high on when Emmanuel was still with us. And this is, if Gennady is not on his toes, this could go sideways. But if he's successful, if Canelo is successful, Dazn has told us that they really want to do the third fight. So we'll see how that progresses. But nobody's overlooking Steve. He's a tremendous gentleman, very professional here at these press events. As is, Gennady's a great ambassador for the sport of boxing. And this is, the fight fans have been asking me the whole time, when we're going to see Triple G back in the ring. And now, June 8th, tune into Dazn, buy your ticket at Madison Square Garden, starting at $50, and you'll see the big drama show.
Obvious question. Fans have been asking, why Steve Rolls, and who is Steve Rolls? Why did he get selected as the final opponent for Golovkin?
We went down a number of names. We were considering Brandon Adams first.
Wait, what happened there with Brandon Adams?
It was a tough sell only because Triple G's fought so many guys in the middleweight division. He beat William Monroe fairly easily, and William Monroe beat Brandon Adams. So that became a tough sell for us. I mean, it's a great matchup for Charlo. Charlo would be a great matchup at some point for Triple G, but at this particular time with the guys that were available, Steve made a lot of sense. Dazn was supportive of it because they want to expand their subscription base in Canada. Steve being undefeated, being on the national team, actually two-time national champion in Canada. For this fight coming back to the Garden, it made a lot of sense out of all the names that we were going through.
Have you had a chance to see any of the tape on Steve?
Looked at his record. I saw some tape. Gennady said he wasn't familiar with him, but he checked him out. And Steve is one of those guys that we know he's coming to win. He's coming to win this fight. And as I said on the press conference, this is the type of fight that in one night on June 8th, everything that Triple G's accomplished, everything that we've accomplished with Triple G together, Steve could be on top of the boxing world if he gets that win over Triple G on June 8th. So it's a dangerous fight. Nobody's overlooking Steve. We have a lot of respect for him, his promoter Lou DiBella. Lou had actually called me a number of times before trying to make this fight. So we know there was no hesitation when we finally engaged Lou in the negotiation for this fight. There was no hesitation making this fight. And we know Steve really wants it, as does Lou. So it's, I think it'll be, they carry themselves very professionally outside the ring, but I think inside the ring you're definitely going to see some fireworks June 8th.
The reception to the fight from fans wasn't very receptive. What do you make of what they've been saying online and how they see the fight?
Look, a lot of fans, they want to see Triple G in the ring. He sold out arenas with names that haven't been that big, and we expect on June 8th it'll be the same thing. A lot of people just want to see Triple G back in the ring. This fight made the most sense, especially the first fight of this TV contract with Dazn on their platform, and hopefully it'll lead to much bigger fights, which Dazn has made the financial investment in the sport of boxing. So the fans will definitely get their money's worth for this fight. You know, we priced the tickets very well. Dazn has a great lineup. You know, coming up now with the Sister Arquette fight against Estrada, then Canelo Jacobs, Anthony Joshua June 1, and Triple G June 8th. I mean, that's a great lineup for Dazn. And I think Triple G is going to provide a lot of fireworks on June 8th.
Like you mentioned, everybody wants to see the third fight with Canelo and Triple G. Have you gotten assurances from Dazn that September, if Gennady wins and if Canelo wins coming up in May, that it's going to happen?
Well, Dazn really aggressively pursued Triple G. When Canelo signed with Dazn, their goal was to sign Canelo, but really as part of that goal was to make the third fight with Triple G. That's when they, once they signed Canelo, then they really went after Gennady, as did many other platforms. That's kind of where it started off, that whole bidding process. And the goal for Dazn is to make the third fight with Triple G. They made it clear on our side, you know, the fastest path, the easiest path to making the Canelo fight is to sign with Dazn. That's what Triple G did, and they've told us, they've made it clear to Canelo, a part of that big contract that he signed includes a third fight with Triple G. So, you know, Canelo has to win May 4th. It's not an easy fight for him against Danny Jacobs. If he wins, if Triple G wins against Steve Rolls, then I don't see any obstacles from our side, from the Dazn side, why that third fight shouldn't take place in the fall, as the boxing fans really want to see a third fight.
Two parts to that question. One, can Canelo say, no, I don't want to fight Golovkin in September? Does he have that power? Or can Dazn override and be like, no, we spent 300 and something million on you, you got to fight him in September?
When you're paying whatever the number is, 365 million, whatever that number is, I think Dazn has a lot of leverage to say who they want as part of that deal. So, you know, I can't get into the details of their side. They've just, from our side, they've made representations that that fight, if Canelo's successful and if Triple G is successful, that they'll do everything in their power to make sure that fight happens in the fall.
September, then, they've said that's the target.
Well, you know, the fall is the target, whatever date it works out to be. But, you know, and look, if someone gets injured, if one of the guys doesn't win, you know, there's a lot of things that can happen that might be outside of their control. But, again, the fans are demanding it. Dazn wants to make the biggest fights. They're not investing this kind of money not to make the biggest fights. So I think they have a lot of leverage. Like, I think they put some pressure on Canelo to make the fight with Triple G, and it's a great fight. I think it's a great fight for both guys. It's a great fight for the fans of boxing. And if Canelo beats Danny Jacobs, then still one of the biggest fights in the sport of boxing is Canelo and Triple G. And these are two guys that have fought twice before. So unlike some heavyweights, the two best guys in their divisions have fought before, and there's no reason why they can't fight a third time, because the first two fights were two of the biggest pay-per-views, or the two biggest pay-per-views that we've had recently in the sport of boxing, and now they're both on the same platform. The fans, for a subscription, for a monthly subscription, they can see this third fight if it happens. Again, I don't want to put the cart in front of the horse. Nobody's overlooking Steve Rolls, but the question I always get is, when is the third fight with Canelo going to happen? And if Gennady is successful, then I don't see why that fight shouldn't happen. If both guys win their next fights, that's the natural path to go.
Will it be in Vegas? And has Gennady told you that he does not want to fight in Vegas?
Gennady loves Vegas.
Yeah, we all love Vegas.
We love Vegas. We love the MGM. We love the T-Mobile. We don't love the judging, the scoring, whether that's a reflection of being in Vegas or not. When arguably you've won two fights in a row, which the majority of the fans, majority of the media thought Gennady won both those fights, at worst a draw in the second fight, and you only get one score out of 6. And Abel is much more much more expressive on this. I try to be politically correct. There's promoters out there based in Las Vegas that would call for an FBI investigation when you have one judge scoring 10 rounds of 2 for a fight that HBO scored 8 rounds of 4 for Triple G, like I said, along with the majority of the fans and the media. And then, you know, the second fight, we're not going to dwell on those fights, but, you know, the second fight with the 12th round, clearly a Triple G round, and 2 of the judges scored it for Canelo. And that's really what took Gennady's titles away. If one of those judges had scored it for Triple G, he'd still have all of his titles right now. So, you know, that makes it a tough sell. Going back there, naturally, Gennady is going to make the decision if it comes down to that, you know, where the fight would be. It's going to be naturally a negotiation with Golden Boy with Canelo. Canelo just fought at Madison Square Garden. He sold out Madison Square Garden. There's no reason why they wouldn't go to the Garden. Or, you know, I understand that Jerry Jones in Cowboy Stadium is very interested. So, again, there's nothing against Las Vegas. We got the hand wrapping situation now straightened out with the commission. They've acknowledged that Abel was right the first time when he was protesting the hand wraps that Canelo was using and was being threatened to be thrown out of the locker room, which in the second fight they acknowledged that Abel was right, that there is a limit under their current rules. I don't know if they've changed the rules since then, but under their current rules at that time, Abel was right that there's a limited amount that they can put on to apply onto the hand wrap. So, you know, I'm not going to say he's not going to go back to Vegas. Doing a third fight with Canelo in Vegas probably is challenging, but again, that's Gennady's decision. That's up to Canelo and Golden Boy. So whatever, if it comes to that, if Canelo's successful, if Triple G's successful, then we just want to put on the best fights. And you know, since they fought there twice, you know, if we take it to Cowboy Stadium, if you take it to New York, I don't see why that third fight wouldn't be, if it happens, wouldn't be in a different location. And then, you know, these guys are so competitive, and the second fight was better than the first fight, meaning Canelo stood his ground, actually fought much better the second time around. That doesn't mean he won the fight, but he fought much better. You got to give him credit. Nobody's trying to deny that Canelo has fought very good against Triple G, especially in that second fight. And we give a lot of respect to Canelo. So if the third fight provides more fireworks, if Canelo's confidence is up, which it seems to be, that he's confident of fighting Triple G, then I don't see why there couldn't be a fourth fight. And then it could always go back to Vegas at some point. But, you know, it comes down to judging. It seems like these guys are so evenly matched. It's going to go to a decision, you know, based on those first 2 results. So, you know, we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. Again, I'm not putting the cart before the horse. If Canelo doesn't beat Danny Jacobs, or if Triple G doesn't beat Steve Rolls, then everything I just said for the last couple of minutes is out the window. And that's what boxing is all about. You know, you could lose every round. The 12th round, you pull out a knockout, and then everything goes down a different path. So. I do know that the fans want to see a third fight, and if there's a way to make it happen, we'll do everything we can from our side to make that happen.
And on a final note, when I spoke to you maybe 2 months back, we made a little bet. Do you remember that little bet?
Did I win the bet? What did we bet?
Bet a steak dinner.
If you tell me the bet, then I'll...
At the Palms. You told me there's no way that Canelo will face Jacobs.
Yeah, that's true.
And we bet.
What the caveat was...
There's a caveat? I didn't know there was a caveat. There was?
Yeah, there was a caveat that David Lemieux was scheduled to fight on that Canelo show, and nobody knew that he was going to be overweight, and nobody knew that actually he didn't even fight. He was dehydrated. Clearly the path was, and I'm not, look, they made the Danny Jacobs fight, and that's a great fight, but clearly the path was David Lemieux on that show with Rocky Fielding, and then matching them in May. Now, I did say, I went on record that there's no way they're
camera too.
Well, yeah, and I admit that. So I don't back down from that. So at some point we'll go get a Palms dinner right across the street from the Conga Room here. So I did catch some heat for that, but there was, if David Lemieux was available and had he won in December, I would guarantee you that would be the fight that's made. But I think the fans won because clearly the Danny Jacobs fight is a much better fight. So, in hindsight, I'm actually happy that I'm wrong, because for the sport of boxing, for the fans, for Canelo and Danny Jacobs, it's a great fight, and for Dazn and for T-Mobile. And again, we have a great relationship with the folks at MGM Resorts. They've been very supportive of Triple G. Every time Gennady goes up there, they really treat him well, and so you know, we're not closing the door on Las Vegas. It just, you know, that's going to come down to a negotiation and to see if Canelo's successful, if Gennady's successful. You know, where that third fight happens, if it does happen. But we'll do a steak dinner at the Palm. Now that you reminded me of that, we'll do a steak dinner at the Palm.
Oh, there you go, winner steak dinner. Tom, thank you so much.
I should have said if David Lemieux fights. Nobody knew David Lemieux would be dehydrated and not fight. But again, like I said, the fans win. It's a great promotion between Golden Boy and Matchroom. And so, you know, I think...
And I win a steak dinner, along with this guy behind the camera, as Matt... That's two. There you go. He was recording it. So there we go. Tom, as always, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. June 8th, Gennady Golovkin returns to New York facing Steve Rolls on Dazn.
So you got that confirmation on camera that
we did.
a steak dinner.
Tomahawk steak on Tom.